the State of Louisville podcast. I'm joined by special guest Raashaan Myers and Madz of the Power 10 podcast group. Raashaan, the host of Wake Up 502. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Raashaan, Madz, how are you guys doing? Talk to me. What's up? How are you guys feeling today?
Roman doing absolutely, man. It's going down on a Sunday. I'm mad about the ladies basketball team, so I'm still trying to get over that. So
Yeah,
you know,
tough loss for the ladies today, but
mm,
hopefully they can bounce back and get right here at the end of the season. So they are.
definitely,
They are.
definitely.
They are, and they're still an exciting team too. They have you see the potential there when they play, but we're going to be talking about a little bit of Louisville men's basketball today. I'm joined
Definitely.
by these two special guests. Couldn't have Jake or Presley in today, but it's all right. I believe we're also live on YouTube as well. So if you guys are in the YouTube chat, if you guys are seeing this on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment down below. If you guys want to hop in the chat and ask us any questions, feel free to do so. We've got a pretty good amount of topics for you all today that we're going to jump into and address. Obviously, Louisville is coming fresh off of a win against Florida State. Louisville in the Center gets the win 89-81. Mads, Raashaan, I really just want to jump right into it and recap this win, what it means for Louisville. We don't really need to discuss what a loss would have meant, but obviously didn't need to see an L right here at this time of the year.
Hmm.
Love to see Louisville chug along here, but let's break it down a little bit because this is an FSU's team that does have the roster, and I don't want to say coaching, but they have a roster and approach that it can be tough. They can make things rough. They've got a lot of athleticism. They've got a lot of size. They've got a lot of speed. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot of skill, and I think that was just fully on display in this game. This is one of those games where the more skilled team definitely came out on top. But let's break it down because Louisville, this was not at one point in the first half, and even later on in the first half, going into halftime. You felt good. You felt comfortable. You didn't really feel like Florida State's offense was creating anything that was something you were going to have to be scared of in the second half or anything like that.
Hmm.
Louisville's offense, while it wasn't getting the best of shots, we were still shooting pretty well. And, I thought we were defending pretty well in the first half as well. I'm already forgetting the numbers here. Raashaan, what do we keep them to in that first half there?
First half shooting
31 points.
percentage, they were. Let's see, Florida State first half shooting percentage 46% from the field, but only 11% from three. They were 1 of 9 from three.
Yeah, and they chucking them. They
Yeah.
not really. Yeah, yeah, and obviously you'll people are going to look at the box score and they'll be like, "Oh, Jameer Watkins, another guard that had another lot of points on Louisville here recently." Not the kind of 23-point performance that when you really look at it, he didn't play well to me. I don't think he really played all that well. I get that yeah, he wasn't getting a lot of clean looks. He was getting into the lane a lot. They were kind of playing him out of the post a lot as well.
Yeah.
But we were defending him well, helping when we needed to, just forcing him to have to work really hard for anything every time he got the ball. I want to say we turned him over a good amount, not only twice, but Jameer Watkins, 1 for 6 from three. He wasn't finding anything beyond the arc, and he's not a shooter. So
Yeah.
you don't mind seeing that out there at all. It's kind of one of those guys that kind of will ruin your offensive possession with one of his 3-point shots. But talk to me about there and how we were able to prevent him from getting clean looks. Raashaan, what'd you see there?
Well, I tell you what, to me, especially because this was a game, this was the second time around Louisville playing Florida State. Florida State always has, Coach Leonard Hamilton always has a ton of big guys, a ton of length, a lot of size, a lot of athleticism. And I even talked about it to Chucky Hepburn in the postgame press conference about this was a team in Florida State that doesn't necessarily have to do a lot of helping, okay? Because they have so much size, they kind of stayed home and forced Chucky to be a creator and be a scorer more so than an assist guy. In this game, and he said that he had 5 assists today, and he said early on he was looking too much to try to draw, to trying to attack and looking to pass out rather than attack the score. And he kind of credited that for the early turnovers. But once he kind of settled down and understood the assignment that FSU was going to make him go 1-on-1, he and Terrence Edwards both, Louisville got into a bit of a groove. But defensively, I think that Louisville played really well in the first half. They kind of forced Florida State into taking a lot of shots, and Florida State abided by it. Florida State's not a great perimeter shooting team, so I think especially early they kind of got lulled into shooting a lot of perimeter shots rather than getting downhill. That's one of the things I give credit for Coach Leonard Hamilton at halftime. Like you could tell that there was a definitive kind of marching orders that they wanted FSU one-on-one going downhill, attacking the basket, using their size, using their strength to make it hard on Louisville. And to their credit, man, they did a good job, especially in the second half, making it tough on them. But Louisville, just what they've done all year, they just grinded it out, And I think that after having so many blowouts and so many times where they really had not been challenged in the second half, and you're just trying to nurse a 30-point lead or a 20-point lead, they had to make plays to win. And I think that it was definitely good for the team to have that challenge.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. They have a bench that they play deep into their bench, way deeper than they
Yep.
did last time. It felt like, and it seemed like every single guy they brought in was just somebody that could switch everything, guard
Yeah.
multiple guys. Wasn't really going to do much. I didn't even count that up.
Yeah.
Their bench was just a bunch of guys who could play and defend,
Yeah.
get up and down the court fast. You thought that they would probably like to get out and transition more, but Louisville takes care of the basketball. Yeah, I feel like on makes they did.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you guys think about the Ewan guy going 9 for 10 from the field with 19 points? That's one of those performances where every time he scored, it's like, wait a minute, why haven't they gone to him every time?
Yeah. Well, and that's what I talked about earlier, Roman, is like we duped them into shooting a bunch of shots from the perimeter. Like
Yeah,
to me, Ewan's a monster. He killed Louisville the first game as well. Like he's a guy who, we've heard all year that, big men should be able to hurt Louisville because they don't have a lot of size and they don't have a lot of depth. And, probably James Scott's probably giving up 20 pounds, probably 20, 30, 40 pounds maybe to Ewan. So, I thought that FSU, they've won three of their last four. So coming into that game prior to Louisville, they had won three of their last four. So they've been playing better basketball. And I think that, Leonard Hamilton basically credited Louisville's experience and said that, the one thing about this team, they have veteran guys. He said, I'm still trying to teach these young guys how to understand the game plan, stick to the game plan, and don't defer from that. And, he gave them credit because he liked the way they fought in the second half. But I'm so glad they didn't, because Ewan's a load. I would love for Louisville to have one of those. We don't have one of those yet, but no, he's an absolute monster. So I mean, to me, that's a credit to Louisville. They just found another way to win a game against a very big, very athletic, very solid defensive basketball team, figuring out how to how to get buckets, how to get in the lane. And, they come out, they scored, 40 points in the first half, 45 points in the first half, scored
yeah.
44 points in the second half. So, I mean, consistency, Louisville figured out a way to get it done. And to me, that's been a hallmark of the team, just veteran, smart basketball. However they need to win it is what they're going to do.
You're completely right. We're having a bit of a technical issue here, Mads. We can hear you and you can hear us in live time, but YouTube can't. And I just went to go check. Leave and join up for me real fast for me. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll try to delay here for a second, but you're completely right, Raashaan. Um, I, I don't really understand why they wouldn't have adjusted throughout the game more consistently. Why Florida
Right.
State wouldn't have just tried to play through Ewan. You wouldn't have opened up more space along the arc because we would have eventually had to go to the double there. But
Hmm.
I wasn't really upset to see it. He's one of those guys that I don't really think he can create his own shot back to he can go back to the basket, but he can't really face up and do what you want him to do. So
Yeah. No, he's
doubles
very skilled. He's a very skilled big guy.
he
He's a
can
very
finish.
skilled.
He's got a soft touch. He's a good footwork, but at the same time, he can't really put the ball on the floor. So
Yeah.
and he's not stretching the floor, obviously. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't have really been too worried, but I was just surprising that they wouldn't have tried to initiate offense through him a little bit more and see what they could have created from there.
Yeah.
Mads, you hearing us?
Yeah, I hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just
Yep.
go back to
Okay.
the landscape for me if you can, and we should be all good.
Okay.
But yeah, Raashaan, I wanted to What do you guys think of Rain Smith? What's up with Rain Smith in the Yum Center? What
I'm
was
sideways, but you guys aren't sideways.
okay? Yeah.
So I think that she might have to go with the vertical, Roman. I think it's kind of locked in because it's a live recording. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and
Oh, you're
turn your
right.
phone up ways,
Oh,
up
because
and
I
down.
rejoined. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. So yeah, Rome. Just go to the side by side. Might have to. There you
That's what we'll
go.
do.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, everyone. Sorry about
I,
that. But Mads, we were just talking here. We obviously recapped what we were seeing from Florida State on the offensive end, and Ewan being able to kind of have clean looks around the rim, and why they probably weren't dishing in
True.
enough offense out of him there with the way that we were defending the perimeter and the guards, not letting guards get clean looks, running everybody off the line. Kind of trying to rely on our interior defense, which I just thought was interesting. But in terms of a big man, we wouldn't have really had enough of an answer. So I was a bit surprised, and he still had 19 points.
Yeah, he played pretty well.
He didn't miss a shot.
I mean, but look. The thing and this is what I like to point out is that Florida State has talent. They have a lot of talent. And people that continue to try to compare the ACC to like the West Coast Conference or say that, oh my God, the ACC is like a mid-major conference. That's bullcrap. Like
It's
there are
ridiculous.
very, very talented players in the ACC. There's a lot, McDonald's All-Americans and high school and just very good college basketball players. It has the ACC not performed as well, especially in the early season, as well as you would have liked. No, but there's still talent on all these teams. Like to me, it's disrespectful to could try to compare the ACC to like, the Big Sky or
Or the
to
Metro or the Mac, or I've heard
like
all of the different names.
it's
Like,
bullcrap. I like that. There's
Yeah.
too much talent. There's plenty of talent in the ACC. There are plenty of good teams. Have they not performed as well as you would have liked? Absolutely. And should the SEC be given credit for what they've done this year? Absolutely. But to me, people that try to act like all these teams are terrible, there's no talent, there's nothing there, and it's just awful basketball, is just bullcrap. Like Florida State on any given day could give any of the teams in the SEC a run for their money with that much size, with that much athleticism, talent like Jameer Watkins, talent like Big Ewan. There's no doubt that those teams could play. So I mean, I just had to say that because I get tired of hearing, "Oh my God, this is just a low major conference. The ACC is horrible." That's just stupid.
No, I agree. The ACC has talent from top to about 3/4 of the way down, and really even the bottom teams all have.
There's some guys.
Too,
Yeah.
well, because those middle teams are like kind of cannibalizing each other a little bit. If you think about it, like from
exactly
from 6 to 12, you've got dudes just. I mean, they play each other multiple times. A lot of them, and there's a lot of these games been going to overtime, double overtime. These games, they've really been getting, going back and forth. They've been having some pretty good games. So, I agree. I definitely don't think it's just been some awful basketball. And I definitely hate the narrative that, Louisville is quote unquote benefiting from a bad conference, but Duke still gets all the hype and they're beating up on the same conference and they're a top team. Like
everybody who says that to me, in my personal opinion, I don't think they watch the games. I think that everybody's using the narrative that, in the early season that the ACC did not do well. They got dominated in the ACC SEC Challenge. And they're just basically using that narrative to just discount and discredit everything else the rest of the year, which is just stupid. I mean, it's still basketball. Teams do not find their footing normally until mid-January, late January, into February, heading towards March. So, yeah, did these teams not play well early? But to me, Wake Forest, SMU, Louisville, Clemson, Duke, all those teams are good basketball teams. North Carolina for some reason is still 45 in the net. I still haven't figured out why the hell North Carolina is considered a tournament team. Like they haven't beaten anybody.
I mean, before they came out and admitted BPI was garbage, they had them at like an 80% chance to make the tournament. Louisville like 50. So I mean, it's kind of like Wild Wild West out here.
I don't get the North Carolina love, but I think that there are still 5 or 6 good teams, maybe even 7 pretty good teams in the ACC.
Yeah, North Carolina, I guess it's just because they've scored so well in the games that they've blown teams out, and they have had spiked numbers in the games they've looked good in. That's got to be keeping them afloat in all those rankings there. But I do want to move on towards the end of this game. Let's talk second half, end of the game, Rain Smith shooting in the Center. What did you guys think? Would you guys get nervous there at the end of the game? Obviously, Chucky was kind of in control of everything, but it seemed like we weren't able to get the momentum we kept trying to go and get. They
Matt,
come down, get a bucket. How did you guys feel about the way that game ended there?
I mean, obviously you'd like, to see it end a little bit, better, kind of be able to pull away and, expand on that lead that we were, kept trying to balloon, the entire game, it felt like. But I think that at the same time, to be able to win a game like that, where that other team, because let's not get it twisted. FSU came out hacking. They came out, playing like they were at Shawnee Park. I mean, they came out just ready. They didn't care if they got hurt. They were just full send. They were trying to fight. So, I mean, I really think the fact that, that's how they were playing, which led to a lot of fouls, which, when you're a team that likes to get up and down, it just completely throws off the rhythm. You guys were talking about how this was a perfect type of game, for Terrence Edwards to be able to, basically get what he wanted. And while he was in the game, he was. That's why they had to take him out the game. They had to blow a couple crap fouls on him and get him to go sit down, because he may look a little unorthodox, but that was the type of play that we need in a game like this, because he can just get in there and put it in the bucket.
Yeah, he fights through contact. Terrence Edwards doesn't have any issue with players, being handsy, touchy into the lane, and he's gonna be patient. His patience on the offensive end, every time the play slows down a little bit, has impressed me game in and game out from Terrence Edwards. The way he can get to the basket, adjust, take in contact, and still find a way to put the ball in the basket has just been lovely. And that was something that he got criticized for, the way he went about trying to do that in the beginning of the year. So his ability.
Oh, we got you. You froze up on us, Ron.
I thought it was me for a second.
No.
No, I was just going to say, too, I was going to give, while he's frozen, I guess, I was just going to give props to Terrence Edwards' defense.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Because that also took it off, too. Kind of Rain Smith got picked on a little bit because Terrence Edwards was on the bench, so.
Well, and I do want to mention this about Rain Smith, because you talked about, the fact he shot, everybody knows he shot some air balls and really looked out of sorts. Coach Kelsey did mention in the post-game press conference that, this sickness, the flu or whatever is going around, apparently hit the team really, really hard late Friday afternoon, evening. And apparently Rain Smith and Noah Waterman were two of the biggest guys that were affected by it. And, apparently, Rain had been suffering the ill effects of that sickness. And I think that was one of the reasons why we saw so many air balls from him, was that, he just didn't have his legs in the second half. It just kind of, as the game wore on, his conditioning suffered greatly. And, Coach Kelsey's always one that he says that I don't want to make excuses for anything, and we're going to have to figure it out. And I think, to Louisville's credit, that's what they did. They really started to, kind of take the bull by the horns and kind of go possession by possession and just find the isolation, whether it be Javon Hadley making the attack from the short corner, whether it be Chucky Hepburn attacking from the middle, whether it was Terrence Edwards kind of getting the screen and go. Louisville found a way to manage it. And, Coach Kelsey kind of credited the fact that he has three elite closers in Chucky, in Terrence Edwards Jr., and in Javon Hadley. So, it's one of those things where, like we talked about, in the NCAA tournament, you got to find different ways to win. You have to be able to combat against different styles, and you just have to kind of figure out a way. And that's one of the things that has made this Louisville team so good all year long, is they just find a way to win. If it's 7 or 8 threes for Rain and him just going crazy, fine, so be it. If it's Chucky Hepburn setting a school record for assists, so be it. If it's just grinding out a win and just finding out, figuring out ways to get buckets down the stretch, they do that too. So, I mean, to me, that makes me more comfortable if I'm a Louisville fan watching this team, because you're going to play close competitive games. And I think this did simulate the type of game that you would see in a tournament setting.
Right, like, up 5, with a few minutes left, need to, give us a little more of a cushion, dump it down, a couple times in a row to Vaughn and let him spin, let him go to work, let him get fouled. I mean, he's probably my favorite player on the team, and that's really hard to have a favorite player on a team like this.
Yeah.
Especially when just there's so many guys. Yes, they're all so likable, and they're all, obviously, this is like the first year in a long time that we've had this excitement back. So all of these dudes are just going to have a special place, in our heart as Louisville basketball fans forever. Like, I mean, we know this, but Javon Hadley, man, I mean, he's just steady. That's like my favorite word for him, is just steady. Like, I can count on him so much. Like the other day, I'm watching the game. I think it was the game before last. I'm watching the game, and I'm like, okay, getting a little a little bit hairy here. Let's see what we do. Let's go to Vaughn. Vaughn going to get a bucket, right?
Yeah.
What do we do? Go to Vaughn. Vaughn turn around and one. So it's like, I just love, he's so steady, and it doesn't matter if you need a bucket. It doesn't matter if you need a offensive rebound, a defensive rebound. He can get you an assist. He can get you a defensive stop on anybody. I mean, I love, he's clutch. He does it in the clutch moments at the ends of the games. He knocks down his free throws. I mean, the dude is just, I love him. He's probably my favorite player on this team.
Yeah. Javon Hadley plays like the OG at the gym. He plays like, kind of the he always makes the play, whatever it is. If you need the rebound, if you need the defensive stop, if you need him to knock down some clutch free throws, if he's open from three, he's gonna knock it down more times than not. He's just a winner. He's a winner.
Yeah. Javon Hadley's ability to adapt to almost any scenario out there on the court, offensively or defensively, is also one of those things that I think is a super underrated skill he has. He can play in a power forward role. He can play in a dunker spot role. He can play out on the perimeter. He can put the ball on the floor. I rewatched the game today, and it amazed me how many times he got into a situation where he got played up tight. He put the ball on the floor, behind the back, take his man on the right hip with the left-hand dribble, get into the middle of the lane, and find the kick out back into the paint. And that's just something that your third guy, he's not even a primary ball handler. Being able to do that is such a valuable skill, because now he can, with the ball in his own hands, get to one of those spots where he can go create now in the post. And he doesn't have to worry about a guard holding the ball and him backing the guy down and getting open and trying to get a entry pass into the paint. He doesn't have to do that. He can dribble there. He can get there to himself. He can shoot off the catch on pretty much anywhere out there on the perimeter. So yeah, Javon Hadley, his ability just to adapt and understand what's needed from him at any aspect of the game, and also to just take advantage of mismatches, see where mismatches are, see where the ball needs to go, and to play fast and assertively as well. We've gotten so used to and so accustomed to it, but really this is what it means when you have experienced guys out there. I mean, his team was just in the Sweet 16 last year.
Yeah. I mean, efficiency. I mean, that's a big buzzword for Coach Kelsey, is efficiency. And Javon Hadley is a super, super efficient basketball player. Chucky Hepburn is a super efficient basketball player. Terrence Edwards Jr.
is a playmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just efficient playmaking, smart, high IQ basketball. I mean, that's why Louisville's winning. That's why they continue to win. And as we get ready for March, I think that's going to be, their opportunity. I mean, it's very exciting, man. We're about to lock up this double bye for only, I think, the second time since Louisville's been in the ACC. We're going to have the lockdown on the double bye. Louisville's going to have an opportunity to make a push. We've never been to the semifinals of the ACC, and if they get a win in their first game in the ACC tournament, they would make it to the semifinals for the first time in the history of the school.
Wow, first time.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What'd you guys think of Leonard Hamilton out there on the floor? 6 on 5.
The first thought that I had was, well, dang, he said I'm retiring anyway, so screw it, right? Might as well just do whatever I want.
He's trying to play. He's trying to run her up out there. He wants to set a screen or something. Jeez, I mean.
Yeah, and as soon as his team's on that side, he's off the floor.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, you wanted to block her a steal or something, Leonard. Gosh.
Hey. Well, apparently from one of the fans that was sitting courtside, I heard them call into one of the post-game shows and said that he asked the referee why he's not letting Leonard stand on the court like that. And the ref basically told him, look, man, Coach Hamilton is 76 years old and he's about to retire, so he can do whatever he wants. Is basically what he told him. So, hey, he got the OG tax. You feel me? Like, he can do that. If he wants to do that, he can do that. Hey, and I just want to say, man, Coach Hamilton is a cool guy. His lineage and history in the state of Kentucky as both a member, the coaching staff down there with Rick, and his contributions to the state of Kentucky. He's been around for a long time. He's a very cool guy. He was awesome in the press conference after the game. I love Coach Hamilton. I love his spirit. He's a very honest guy. He's one that I definitely will not be sad to see him go, because his teams,
Coach, get out of here, man.
His teams are always tough. They're always big. They're always athletic. So I will not be sad to see somebody else on their sidelines. But he's had a great career. So I'm glad that we got to see him. But I'm glad we sent him home with that loss.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know what it is? Last time in young boy, get out of here. Go play some golf.
Right.
Whatever it is.
Jeez.
All right, guys. I want to jump into a preview of Virginia Tech. Probably will be the last game. Like, this will be the smallest spread going forward out of the last 4 games, I'll have to say, because it's a road game. It's Virginia Tech. I don't know what it'll be, but I'd have to imagine it'll.
Oh, I think that Louisville will be elite.
I can't imagine that.
Louisville, it's going to be
Pitt could be closer.
It's going to be a 14-point spread at least. Virginia Tech is hot garbage, brother. Like, they're terrible. Like, I know it's a road game. I know it's a conference road game, but Virginia Tech has not been playing good basketball at all. In my personal, Madz, I don't know if you have a differing opinion on that, but I feel
mean, I was gonna basically say the same thing. They're hot garbage. They're boo-boo water.
They haven't beat anybody. They beat Miami coming off a win against Miami, but that's obviously you should be beating Miami.
It's literally the competition of like the poop and the doo-doo.
College was terrible.
I'm sorry, like they just
11 points at halftime in their outing against Boston College on the road. So
11 points. That is insane.
They beat Notre Dame in South Bend, which is interesting, and they played SMU close, which is interesting at home. But they beat Virginia. They're playing up and down basketball. They're not scoring a lot of points. I'm not really too worried about them. But if you guys have any points, any points of note interesting about Virginia Tech, and let's get them out now. Let's talk through this a little bit. I do know that Toby Laws, their leading scoring guy, bit like wing forward, down low kind of a player. Don't think he shoots the ball very well at all. He's shooting 40% actually. That's not bad. He doesn't shoot the free throw well, but that's their go-to player, Toby Lawwell. I don't know do you know how to say that?
Toby Lawwell. Yeah, I'm not.
Lawwell.
Is it Lawwell? Yeah.
Lawwell. I'm really not sure.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, Virginia Tech has done nothing this year to make me have to want to pay attention to them. Like, I mean, just being honest, they've not been good. They
lost their best players in the portal. They lost their best players to the portal.
They're one of the teams that just doesn't have necessarily the NIL resources that some of these other schools have, and they've just been decimated by it. Like, Mike Young is struggling there right now. They don't have a ton of depth. They don't have a ton of talent. They don't really have much of any size. Like, to me, for Louisville to lose this game, they would have to go out there, and honestly, they'd probably have to play like a D+ game. Like, even if they play a C- game, I think the Cards win this game. Like, it just, to me, it's a take care of business. They've handled, like, this isn't like going into Boston College. Okay, like Boston College, that's a game that you may have some issues, some troubles, but I'm not big. I say go out there, beat Virginia Tech by about 20 on the road, and come back home and get ready for these last 3 games versus Pitt, California, and Stanford.
I'm right there with you. Nothing really to worry about here on Virginia. I do see Louisville going on the road, being able to get a double-digit victory here. Good amount. I'd say. I don't even want to go into it. But there's no reason Virginia Tech to come in. You to go down to Virginia Tech and allow them to score more than 70 points just with the way the Louisville's been defending.
I mean, they only average like 65 points a game, something like that. 66
points. I think you're totally right, Raashaan. You go down there, you keep them below 60, 65 points, and you go down there, you get a 15-plus point victory. Not enough with their guard play. The one thing that's interesting is that they had this kid on the bench their last game, Jaden Young. He hit 5 3-pointers in 25 minutes. Wouldn't be surprised to see him in the starting lineup just because when you're at a team playing like that, you're going to do anything. He's a sophomore. Might as well let him go get some tick. But that was the interesting point of note, just because Louisville has a way of letting good shooters get good shots. Not usually the entirety of games, but
right.
That seems to be really only the good shooter. And the Burnham kid is another stretch. You can't call him a 5. He's only 6'7", but they've got a stretch big who is allowed to shoot as well. It's probably the only kind of shots he takes. So, just don't let them get anything comfortable. Go out there, play cutthroat defense, cut off the point of attack. Javon.
Oh, there he goes.
I thought it was me again. I was looking at my box score on the computer because I was just trying to see from last game. You guys were talking about efficiency numbers, but I definitely think this should just be a game where we should be able to go out there and, like he said, play cutthroat defense and and really just be able to stop them at the point of attack. And they're shouldn't be able to get much going against us. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we forced a ton of turnovers and, we're able to get out in transition and things like that. So, I mean, yeah, it should be a comfortable, relatively easy one for us, but we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, they really just struggle offensively. They just don't have a lot of pop offensively, and a Louisville team that's scoring, they can get up to the 80s, 80, 85. As we saw yesterday, scoring 89 points. If you get this game into the 70s, like, I just don't think Virginia Tech can follow. This is a game where Chucky Hepburn, you would love to see Chucky Hepburn go out there. Terrence Edwards, Javon Hadley, get their work done early, get this game up to, 25 or 30, and those guys be able to maybe rest and, allow Kenai Roos and Big Frank and some of those other guys get some time because, with Chucky's, I know that he looks good, but he still has this groin issue, and groin issues don't go away. So the more time that we can take off of his shoulders and kind of off of his back, I think the better. So to me, this is a game where you get up big, and then you just kind of salt it away. I don't need Louisville. At this point, the net rankings kind of are what they are. Louisville's 25th today after the win yesterday. I don't anticipate that's going to move much over the next few games, over these next four. So, maybe Louisville can get into the top. I don't even know if they can get inside the top 20. Honestly.
Maybe like 21. We'll end up at like 21 or something.
So I don't think that we're really playing for a lot to go out there and just bust the team by 30 or 40. It just doesn't. I think you're kind of at the point of diminishing returns. It's almost like these teams kind of are where they are. We're not seeing much movement. I mean, hell, Kentucky has bounced back and forth between 12th and 14th. As they've alternated wins and losses, they've kind of just stayed in that same spot. So I just don't anticipate any changes coming. So with that being the case, I think that Louisville should just go ahead. Let's rest our guys as much as we can and just take care of business. I'm not really worried about Virginia Tech, honestly.
I think you're totally right, Raashaan. I think I'm right there with you. I think these next four games in general are all games that you should try to look to get a lead, try to utilize, maybe even in your rotations, getting Traore, Kenai, Noah, and even Frank in maybe earlier than you normally would, because I don't want Terrence and Chucky and Javon playing 36, 37, 38 minutes. I don't want that. I'm sorry. I just don't want it. I want those.
If they don't have to. If they don't have to, absolutely not.
And these
not
next
at this
four
point.
Games, I want them playing 30 minutes, 32 minutes, if we can somehow get away with that. But I know that's not possible with 8 guys you're really, really utilizing, and then the 9th guy being Frank. And Frank not really seeming to get in much hardly at all anymore.
Yeah, that was my only confusion, I guess I would say, about last game, was why Frank didn't get any run, especially when we had foul trouble. Just because Noah was out there, and I know Noah only played 9 minutes, but Noah just lately his shot, and it seems to be all confidence. I don't know, but his shot isn't falling, and when his shot isn't falling and he's getting beat consistently to the basket, you've got to take him out the game. At that point, if he's not hitting shots, you've got to play Traore 22 minutes. Why is Traore only playing 15, 16 minutes? At that, if Noah's not going to knock down shots, I feel like at that point it's okay, we need to play Traore more, because I feel like Traore, I've said it, before on other different, medias and stuff. I've said he reminds me kind of Draymond Green, the way he defends, the way he can defend even centers and stuff, the way he can push the ball, the way he can pass, the way he can stand in the middle and kind of orchestrate offense a little bit. I think he's a really smart player. He's obviously a very physical player. And that's something that has bode us well, especially ever since we lost Case and Pryor, and we kind of had to re-identify ourselves as a basketball team, and everybody kind of that was starting to find their role, kind of had to fall into a new one and had to take kind of a step up. But I definitely think that, what you're talking about, getting guys like Noah and Kenai and Kadir, this could be a great opportunity to maybe kind of try to get them into a better rhythm or flow or chemistry or what have you. Maybe, if you're up by a lot, put Noah in and let him shoot a bunch of threes. It doesn't matter if he bricks them, because, you're up by a lot, but I think the fact that he keeps shooting is a good sign. I mean, I know the whole thing with PK is play the analytics, but I don't know. I definitely think that
Noah's bubblegum card needs to be retired.
I was about to say the bubblegum card. You are what the bubblegum card says you are, but I do think we're gonna need him. I do think we're gonna need him eventually. in the tournament, because it always turns out that way, especially with Louisville. Like, it seems like even when we've had, a number one seed, like what happened to us against Wichita State in the Final Four, we need Tim Henderson to come in and hit 2 threes back to back. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that there won't be, a chance or opportunity, for Noah Waterman to step up. I mean, look what he did the EKU game. But I feel like, hope he did. And I hopefully, with this game, that we have coming up on Tuesday, I really hope that it's an opportunity, that we are able to just kind of salt it away and put some guys in and not really have to play, our main guys too much to tire them out right here before we get into this home stretch.
I'm right there with you. We got to make sure everyone's
Gotta make sure everyone's healthy. I guess that's what he was gonna say.
Healthy going into this ACC. But
where's he at?
There he is. Roman,
Okay, there he is.
Sorry.
The UK Gremlins are
broken out here. I'm sorry about that.
They're sabotaging you, Roman.
Yeah, every time you get like 4 words in.
What I was saying was, I don't think Louisville should have any reason going forward to prevent themselves from getting that double bye. But that double, even with having that double bye, you still need you need everyone healthy. You need as much rest as you. And I thought we lost me again there.
No, you're good.
But lastly, guys, before we jump out of here, I do want to have one more little breakdown. I want to just how you guys feel about the state of recruiting and where we're kind of at right now. These, Sananda Frew, he's looking like he could be a potential huge.
He's raw. He's very raw. But James Scott was very raw, and I think that's one thing. I don't want to get too long-winded, but I think that for years we've not only been asking for like winning basketball and fun and like the energy again, but we've also Louisville fans ask for a lot, but it's because the standard is the standard. We hear it over and over. So we are spoiled as well, but I think it's good for us. But at the same time, we've been asking, like I said, for not only the winning and the product on the court to show up and for the culture and all those good things. We've been asking to see development, begging to see development, and we have seen it from everyone. And you don't think that a dude like Terrence Edwards, he comes in as a 5th-year guy, his defense put him on some draft boards.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest with you. So I think when it comes to you look at how Kanai, has shown up in certain games this year, especially the way he's defended, the way that he's learned obviously from this team and from this older squad and things like that. So I think with Sananda Frew, even though he's raw, you look at what James Scott and the development that he has had just this year, just from the beginning of the year to now, James Scott, particularly on the defensive end, with the defending without fouling, the just kind of not getting lost as much, helping a lot better, being in the right spot, things like that. So I definitely think that's one thing about Frew, I think, and that's the main, things that I've read about Frew. Is his defense a little bit. He gets caught ball watching sometimes. He gets a little switched up on the screen sometimes, but he offensively has the chance to be, because he's super polished around the basket already. I think he has the chance with his athleticism and with his raw, just his talent, to be one of those type of guys, kind of like Kason Pryor was supposed to be for us this year, but even more upside on the defensive end as far as with his length and his ability to block shots and things. Because I think he's so able to to get baskets around the rim, like these tap ins and some of these bunnies that we see James Scott miss sometimes. If I'm being honest with you, he doesn't miss those. He doesn't miss those, So I think you got that going for him. But then his agent, you all probably listened to it, the interview of his agent. He was on with Diener. He said that one of the things that they're working on and that he wants to do, and one of the reasons that he committed to Louisville too, is because he's working on his 3-point shot. He wants to shoot his 3-point shot more. He wants to be more of a stretch perimeter guy. So that's why I mentioned Kason Pryor, a guy who's 6'10", who can kind of be on the perimeter, who can shoot, who can take it in transition, who can also finish around the rim, a kind of do-it-all type guy. And I really think that's why I mentioned the development, just from the development standpoint of what we've seen this year, particularly out of James Scott, because he's a big man. With this staff and this coaching staff, I really think the sky's the limit with that dude. The fact that he's already, played professionally, not professionally, but in Europe, overseas with grown men.
Yeah, he's playing pro ball.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was a pro league. I'm not completely schooled on all that or not. But
he's a pro.
He's a pro. So that's what I'm saying. It's like not only that, you've got the thing that we have this year with all the guys that are grown and they're older and they're mature, and so you've got that aspect of it as well. So I definitely think that he's going to be he's going to be huge for us. I mean, I don't think that ranking is a fluke. I mean, I know you got Kentucky fans talking about he's 25 years. I don't care how old he is. And I'm not going to care how old he is when we whoop y'all next year either.
Yeah.
I love it.
And that butt kicking's coming next year. I'm gonna tell you that.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming in the Yum, baby. It's coming.
Hey, I will say this. First of all, the fact that he got ranked as the 25th best recruit for 2025. Okay, that means you're a borderline McDonald's All-American. Okay, like understand that if you're top 25, you're a borderline 5-star. You're definitely an impact type guy. And Sananda Frew at 21 years old, I'm gonna say that people talk about James Scott's potential as a player down the road. To me, getting Sananda Frew next year is almost like getting what we expect from James Scott as a junior. Getting what we would expect from James Scott as a senior. I think that Sananda Frew can bring that type of impact immediately because he has all of the athleticism, the length, and the instincts of James Scott, but he's much more polished offensively. He has a low post game. He can go over his left shoulder. He can go over his right shoulder. He's shown the ability to step out a little bit and shoot it. It's not a main part of his game, but he's a very adept passer. He understands how to utilize himself as both a screener, as a passer, and as the playmaker.
He has adapted. Sorry to interrupt, Raashaan.
No,
he
you're
has
fine.
Adapted so well. I know I've already was saying this about Javon Hadley too, but James Scott's understanding of the offense and his understanding of where he needs to be and where the ball needs to move, he's not someone that when he gets it in a certain spot now, you're like, gee.
Oh my gosh, he was on a roll.
Wasted that possession. I'm not sorry. I'm seeing it pause, and I'm trying to pause.
You got to sit. I think it's you moving around. I think the camera's like, oh God, he's moving too much. I can't handle it.
No, Frew is elite.
Like this?
I think you got to sit. Try to sit still. I think when you start moving,
that pick and roll, like you were saying, Raashaan, especially elite.
Roman. Hey, what'd you think about that wraparound bounce pass to Traore?
Oh my, he's a dime thrower now.
I knew you loved that. That's
one.
James Scott is out there throwing dimes now. James is throwing dimes now. You love it.
Hey, but a month ago he misses that pass. A month ago it's a turnover.
Yeah.
I promise you, a month ago it's a turnover.
I'd say about a month ago is when it started. He really started getting a grasp on where the ball has to be, who's where. There was a possession today I rewatched from the FSU game where James knows that Rain's open. He's seeing that the ball needs to go there. It doesn't get there. He quickly moves, tries to set his. He ends up with the ball in the corner and the quickest pass out to Rain that you can imagine, and Rain lets it fly. And that was one of the few that Rain did hit in the game. And his understanding of the offense now and how much he's learned. Yeah. And this is one of those things that I hate injuries. I always will. I wouldn't, if I could go back, I would change it because I just hate injuries. I hate when there's a game plan on how you want something to go in. That doesn't get to happen because of injuries. But James Scott being able to play this much in this Pat Kelsey offense is going to do so much for him long term and short.
So for me, for Louisville fans, I would say Sananda Frew, just imagine a guy that can do everything that James Scott is doing right now, both from a defensive standpoint and from a playmaker standpoint, but also has a much more polished offensive game, who actually does have a low post game, a guy who can, already make all those moves in the paint. He can get the ball in the block and make a team, punish a team that gets a switch. That's one of the things that James doesn't do right now. When James Scott gets a switch off and they switch off on a guard, you're not throwing it to James Scott on the block and having him make a play. Sananda Frew can do that. He's going to be able to do more things to put pressure on the opposing defense that James really hasn't learned. And that's one of the reasons why I honestly think that bringing Sananda Frew over in May, the battles that are going to be down there at the Baby Yum or Planet Fitness Center now, there's going to be battles in there between Sananda Frew and James Scott, and I think that both of them are going to be better for it. I think Sananda's going to be able to honestly, even though he's going to be considered the freshman, I think Sananda's going to help develop James Scott even more.
Yeah. When I watching the film,
hold on, whatever
the tape on him.
Yeah, stop. Hey, don't move. Don't move, Roman. There you go. Sit still.
His ability to make plays off of the catch from any angle on the court, he gets downhill off the catch, which is just a rare ability for big men. He has good footwork. He's got a soft touch. He knows how to utilize the backboard.
He's so long, he gets there in 2 steps, Roman. He's like Giannis.
His strides are insane. That's what I was about to say. His strides are insane. So in 2 long steps, he can get to the basket. He's got a left hand. He's got, moving. There I go, moving too much. But, Sanada Fru's ability, and that's going to be the main difference there, Raashaan. When he gets that pass down to the block as just like a, we do that as like a placeholder for James. There's going to be some action at the top of the key. Somebody's going to come around, and that's really for the action on the other wing.
Right.
For Rain to get open if we have that. And if that, that's usually going to lead for a roll for Javon or whoever set that first screen or something like that. And then somebody's coming back around from the opposite side. It's a nonstop motion offense, right? So
yeah. No, it's going to be a lot different.
Sanada's gonna be able to make plays off of that kind of motion and that kind of offense and everybody moving around and defend. Really, what that is getting defenders to move, and you get an angle. You catch the ball, your defender's on your left side, and you've got a space to get into the paint now with one or 2 steps from the left block, and you've got your right hook. James doesn't really have that, those kind of moves and stuff. Even the basic stuff that you can make in 1 or 2 moves, which is what I think Sanada really all he's got. I don't know how much he can.
Right, like a couple dribbles back to the basket. Like that's all James Scott needs. Put on 15 pounds and get 2. Find yourself like 2 to 3 2-dribble back to the basket moves that you can do, and that's it. You're good. You're a lob threat. You're running the floor. You're right. One dribble
move.
Yeah. No, I mean, and honestly, I think that both Sananda Fru and Ali Khalifa, especially with the revelation of how he's losing weight, and right now he's dropped almost 50 pounds, and he still has a couple of months to really work on his body before they get into kind of the off season training in May. I mean, and it has still 6-7 months before it gets real next fall. So I think that Ali Khalifa's a guy who has a very nice low post game as well. Both of those guys, between Khalifa and Sananda Fru, they're going to do a lot to help James Scott's development. And I mean, the potential of Louisville having 3 big time threats on the post to go along with everything else that the Coach Pat Kelsey offense has is very exciting. So I mean, this is just the beginning of it. It's huge. Like with the commitment of Sananda Fru, Louisville's done recruiting big men for next year. I think it's all about just finding those wing scorers, shooters, to kind of accompany the big men.
Can you get Javon Hadley back?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
can you get Javon Hadley back?
If Javon Hadley comes back, oh my goodness.
Retain Kenai Roos. Can you retain Javon Hadley? If Cason Pryor and the numbers align, I'd love to see Cason Pryor back as a perimeter scorer. We don't really need you to be a front court player. We want you to come here and be you're gonna run sets as a power forward, even run sets with Ali Khalifa out there and James Scott. Maybe we could have 3 bigs. I don't know if Cason wants to come back. We'll have to just see how things really are gonna go there. But I think getting Javon Hadley back, retaining Kenai, getting Michael in, getting one more kind of wing player like that in the portal potentially. You're getting Kobe Rogers back, so the need for a guard isn't insanely huge.
Especially if you get Corin Johnson.
You got to bring another wing player in.
Yeah, you need. I think you need Corin.
If you get Corin Johnson back, if you get Corin Johnson,
all bets are off.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. There he goes. You know what's the funniest thing about when Roman...
I say go replace.
Oh. There you go.
There you go.
I freeze right at the middle of a good point too. It's
Always.
It's kind of insane.
You start rolling and then it freezes you.
You had. I was feeling you, Roman.
Yeah, but I was gonna say I think if you can retain Kobe Rogers, you get Kobe Rogers. If you can retain Corin Johnson, then with Michael, Kobe, and Corin, I think you just got to replace somebody for like a Terrence Edwards.
Yeah.
Kind of a player. It's every single time I talk. But you replace Terrence Edwards with a combo wing and guard kind of a guy in that 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" kind of a range, really 6'5" plus if you can. Yeah. And then you got to replace Rain with a shooter. You got to go get a shooter.
Yeah, got to go grab a pure shooter.
Go get the best mid-major shooter you can. Go get the next Rain Smith. Like somebody who's really not going to command a lot of money, because then that gives you more freedom to operate. Michael can shoot. Kanai is going to be in the gym shooting 500 a day. I hope. I please.
He better, because he's going to play small forward. You got to be that 3-and-D guy. Got to be that 3-and-D guy.
Kobe Rogers can shoot off the catch.
He can.
I'm not worried about that either. But I think you got to retain as many guys from this roster who have eligibility as you can. Kaysen has to understand the money has to align
Fingers
with what our
crossed.
front court's going to look like. You know,
Well,
Kaysen
I
is coming off an
honestly,
injury, so
I think that it's going to be one of either Kaysen Pryor or Nate Ament. I don't think that it'll be both, but if Louisville is pretty much guaranteed to have one of those two players, I think you're starting in a very good spot for next year. To add that type of
I
talent
think
to
you're
what
totally right.
everything else you have. So I mean, I'm not greedy. I don't necessarily need to see both Kaysen Pryor and Nate Ament. I just want one of the two. You give me one of the two with everything else Louisville has. You get a wing. If they can get this young man Guillermo Del Pino from Spain, if they can make that happen, another 6'4" point guard to go along with Mikael Brown, a guy who can play off the ball and on the ball, I think that Louisville's in a good spot.
I think you're totally right. Guillermo! We'd love to see Guillermo.
Hey, that call next year will hit like crack, brother.
It will. I love it. I need
Three, Guillermo.
I love it. I know. I need it already. But yeah, so I just that's really gonna wrap us up here, guys. I do want to see if we can retain any of those guys. Corin Johnson would be a big keep for us. You also have to know there's no guarantees with Ali Khalifa, Kanai Roos, and Kobe Rodgers. So you got to make sure that they're not in a position of thinking that they can go command more money from a different school. And
I think
maybe
they're
more
locked
playing
in, but I
time. And
hope.
we just I don't want to not pray that they.
I know. I'm hoping.
Hey, you know what's funny about every time he freezes in the most funny position.
In the funniest
Like,
spots.
look at
They
look
get him
at
with
that
his
face.
eyes all bugged
Look
out.
at Oh, I love you, Rome.
Poor
Crazy
Roman.
Crazy image there to be freezing on, man. Sorry about that. That's a crazy image there to be freezing, but
That's
I've got to
hilarious.
get out of here. I keep freezing up. It doesn't seem like you guys are at all, but if that's it, if that's anything else you guys want to add, anything about going into Virginia Tech, obviously we didn't really address what these last 3-4 games, what a loss could really do in these last 4 games, but it's everybody talks about it. We all know you can't drop any one of these games if you want to retain the second seed in the ACC, be in that double bye, and
Yeah. Yeah, I know it. I know what you're
stay out of that.
Yeah.
And stay out of that 8-9 range potentially
Yes.
for selection Sunday. So
I want to say that they'll lock up the double bye, I believe, if they beat Virginia Tech. If
I
they
think
if
so.
they
Yeah,
if
I
they
think
haven't
they'll
locked
beat
it up,
Virginia
it'll be
Tech.
really
well,
close.
I think we got to beat Pitt. I think we had to win 3 when I
I
last
think
saw
just
that.
one more. I think just one more because of the Wake Forest loss. Wake Forest lost to who did they lose to? Wake Forest just lost. I think I saw somebody tweeted that with their loss, we only need one game to lock it up.
Magic number, yeah. So I was pretty sure that I thought it was one win that they need to lock up double bye. And they moved Louisville into the 100% lock for the tournament already. They did that officially as of the win yesterday. So
That
We
feels
made it, you
good.
guys. We made it.
yes. So it's all about seeding now. We're talking about seeding. We're not talking about if we're going to be there. It's just about putting yourself in the best place. I fully expect for Louisville to finish off with 3 big wins. Let's go into the ACC tournament as the second best, second place team and have an opportunity to do something special. I mean, it's already been a special season. And at this point, to me, it was all about making the tournament and making the announcement that Louisville was back in college basketball. So everything else is just gravy from here on out.
Right.
You're totally right. Mads, if there's anything else that you want to throw out there, any shameless
that's
plugs that
pretty
you
much-
guys want to throw out there?
Shameless
feel free
plugs.
as
I
well.
mean, my Twitter is basically my name. It's just Yo Mads with 2 Z's, MADZZ.
Nice.
I post a lot during
Follow
games. I
Raashaan as
post
well.
after
Follow
games.
Mads.
Absolutely. Yeah. Check me
Yeah,
out at
everybody
Raashaan.
like-
Check me out with the Power 10 too. I'll be on their spaces.
There you go. And Roman, of course.
Comment, subscribe down.
R-
Like, comment,
Romy
subscribe
Bean.
down below. Follow Raashaan. Follow Mads. Sorry about that. Yeah, if you want to give me a follow, feel free at Romy Bean or at Real Spill Podcast. And yeah, if you want to catch
Absolutely.
Raashaan Saturday mornings, wake up 5:02. I'm his co-host, so you catch both of us there. Mads from the Power 10 Twitter Space group. If you ever are wanting some post-game Twitter Space action, just give her a follow as well. And that's going to wrap us up here for the Starting 502 podcast on the State of Louisville Podcast Network. Thank you so much, Raashaan.
Thank you, Roman. I appreciate
Thank you,
Thank you so
Roman.
much, Mads.
Absolutely.
That's going to do it. Go Cards.
Go
Cards.
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 Yeah. All right, y'all.
Okay.
All right. That
We did it.
That did it.
We made it. Right. Yeah.
I was like, we're not gonna make it. Roman's